The DreamWorks water park reopened today. It was shut down last Sunday after that large decorative helicopter fell from the ceiling into the kiddie pool below.
10-year-old boy falling over the edge of a 3-story water slide, hitting the concrete, but surviving, even able to walk away from this injury.
Water slides are supposed to be fun, but some have turned into absolute nightmares.
Waterslides sounds like a simple concept on paper, but various companies are on a constant search for new and strange ways to innovate them.
Riders have been thrown off, slammed into walls, and left with injuries they'll never forget. These slides push the limits of safety with deadly drops, sharp turns, and unpredictable designs. Some even have a history of accidents so terrifying that they'll make you think twice about riding one. So which slides fall into this category? In this video, we will reveal 15 most dangerous water slides in the world. Wet n Wild Gold Coast. At Wet n Wild on Australia's Gold Coast, the Aqua Loop is not your typical water slide. This intense ride starts with riders stepping into a clear capsule, waiting nervously as a trapdoor beneath their feet suddenly drops. In a flash, they're free falling straight down, gaining enough speed to shoot through a twisting pipe. The highlight is a full 360-degree loop that sends them spiraling uphill before they splash into the pool below. Riders wear back protection to avoid injuries as they zoom through the high-speed track. The sheer force and speed make it a heart-stopping experience. The sharp drop, combined with the gravity-defying loop, leaves no room for hesitation. It's over in seconds, but it's enough to leave even the bravest riders breathless as they tumble out at the finish. This is just one of many terrifying slides we will be revealing, so don't go anywhere. Aquasphere. The Aquasphere at the Peninsula Aquatic Centre in Melbourne gained a notorious reputation over the years. This raft-based water slide was known for its thrilling design, but the excitement came at a cost. It faced multiple safety issues, with several riders getting injured before the ride was eventually shut down.
Water slides built by professionals, so in theory, these water slides should be the most fun and safe compared to all the other water slides I'll be trying in this video.
Instead of offering fun memories, the Aquasphere became infamous for its risky experience. Plans were made to either replace it or give it a high-tech upgrade with lights and cameras, though not the fun kind. These cameras were meant to monitor potential accidents and injuries. The idea of a water slide needing surveillance speaks volumes about its hazards. For those who dared to ride it, the experience came with an extra dose of adrenaline, and not always the good kind. Verruckt. Verruckt, meaning insane in German, was a fitting name for this towering water slide in Kansas City, Kansas. Riders were strapped into a small raft at the top of this massive structure before being sent plummeting down a steep, caged-in drop at speeds reaching 70 miles per hour. The ride ended with a flat stretch, but the experience was anything but smooth. Designed in-house by the park, Verruckt raised countless safety concerns. In 2014, it was featured on the Travel Channel as one of the most extreme water slides, but its fame was short-lived. Just 2 years later, a tragic accident claimed the life of a 10-year-old boy, leading to its permanent closure. The chilling combination of height, speed, and questionable safety cemented Verruckt's place in water park infamy. Snaketail. Snaketail at Yas Waterworld in Abu Dhabi is a water slide like no other. Riders are plunged into darkness, surrounded by flashing lights, swirling smoke, and strange sounds that feel straight out of a nightmare. The ride twists and turns as if pulling you deeper into the snake's body, creating a chilling sensation of being completely out of control. Cold fog and spooky effects only add to the fear as you speed through the tight, dark tube. The feeling of slipping out of your raft keeps you on edge the entire time. Finally, the slide spits you out through the snake's mouth into a bright, warm pool, leaving your heart racing and your nerves shot. Shoot the Rapids. Shoot the Rapids at Cedar Point in Ohio gained a reputation for danger after a terrifying incident in 2013.
Just released the incident report on last week's deadly accident at Cedar Point. James Young of East Canton died last Thursday after he was struck by the ride train on the Raptor roller coaster.
A boat carrying 7 riders slid backward on the first incline, flipping over and trapping them underwater. Thankfully, all passengers escaped with minor injuries after being taken to the hospital. The ride, which debuted in 2010, was Cedar Point's costliest water attraction, but struggled with mechanical issues and safety concerns. Following the accident, it stayed closed for the rest of that summer. Despite efforts to restore it, Shoot the Rapids was permanently shut down in 2016, ending its short and troubled run. Its history remains a cautionary tale of high-cost construction and unexpected risks, marking it as one of the most notorious water rides ever built. Cannonball Falls. This water slide at Six Flags Hurricane Harbor in New England earned its reputation with wild thrills and high-speed drops. The slide's middle lane, a bright green open-air drop, propels riders down so fast that they barely touch the sides before crashing into the pool below. It's not known for being graceful, and many riders end up with wedgies as a trade-off for the intense ride. The other two lanes, fully enclosed blue tubes, twist and turn in fast, snaking paths, making riders feel like they're being flung around. The ride's extreme speeds and sharp turns leave little room for comfort, and it's known for its rough landings. Cannonball Falls combines intense velocity with unpredictable outcomes, making it one of the most notorious water slides around. Walhalla Wave. SeaWorld San Antonio's Aquatica is home to the Walhalla Wave.
It is a zero-gravity slide and the first of its kind in the U.S. On the Walhalla Wave, you and 3 of your friends can enjoy a fast-paced thrill ride that'll make you feel weightless.
A water slide that stands out for its intense design and high thrill factor. Riders must be at least 48 inches tall to take on this towering attraction, which adds to its reputation as a ride not meant for everyone. It features sharp twists, steep drops, and massive wave-like walls that send rafts soaring to dizzying heights. The sheer speed and force of the ride make it a challenge for even the most experienced water park fans. Known for its unpredictable movements and scary moments, the Walhalla Wave has been highlighted on shows like Extreme Water Parks. Its combination of height, speed, and intensity has earned it a spot among the most dangerous slides in the world. You're on the edge of your seat, and it's about to get even better. Tsunami Surge. At Six Flags Hurricane Harbor in Chicago, the Tsunami Surge stands tall as the world's highest water coaster, reaching 86 feet. Riders are launched at speeds of 28 miles per hour through 950 feet of twists, turns, and drops. The ride features 3 intense uphill slopes and 5 sudden plunges that leave most riders gripping tightly. Adding to the chaos, the slide includes 5 sharp hairpin turns that test your balance and nerves. To make the experience even more disorienting, bursts of bright colors and aqua-lucent visual effects create a dizzying atmosphere inside the enclosed sections. It's not just the speed and height that make this ride extreme, but also the unpredictable movements and sensory overload. Riders often walk away with heads spinning and swimsuits barely holding on. Master Blaster.
We're about to do Wild Water's awesome Master Blaster. Here we go. Whoa! I'm going backwards.
The Master Blaster at Schlitterbahn New Braunfels in Texas is an uphill water coaster that has been terrifying riders since 1996. Standing 65 feet tall and stretching over 1,100 feet in length, it begins with a steep climb to the top of the tower. 2-person rafts are sent forward by water jets, launching them uphill and plunging them down sharp drops. The ride twists through enclosed sections, jarring turns, and sudden dips that leave riders disoriented. One section even spins the raft in a helix shape before another steep drop. The constant changes in direction and speed make it a wild and unpredictable experience. With multiple awards under its name, the Master Blaster is as famous for its thrills as it is for its challenging design. Steamer Water Slide. Sitting in a figure-8 raft, riders are sent into a dark tube that twists through open air and enclosed sections. The slide then leads to a large pan-shaped area where most expect to spin around at high speed. Instead, the raft moves slowly, barely swirling before slipping through the hole in the center of the pan. The slow movement can feel awkward, with riders often bracing for excitement that never comes. After this, the slide abruptly drops the raft into the pool below, ending the ride with an unsteady splash. While it may not be the fastest or most thrilling slide, Its sudden movements and bumpy transitions make it tricky for riders to stay steady. Summit Plummet. At Disney's Blizzard Beach in Florida, this slide looks like a ski jump but delivers a heart-pounding drop. Riders climb Mount Gushmore using a chairlift before walking the final steps to the top. The slide is a 12-story plunge, sending people 360 feet down at high speed. Its steepness is so extreme that you can't see the bottom from the top, making the drop feel even scarier. Before sliding, riders must lie flat with arms and legs crossed to avoid injuries or getting stuck during the ride. Once the attendant ensures the position is correct, it's a straight plunge into a dark tunnel. The slide ends with a massive spray of water, leaving riders soaked and breathless. Grave Pool. Action Park in New Jersey gained a reputation for being one of the most dangerous amusement parks ever.
Let's switch gears here. In its heyday, this popular New Jersey water park hosted millions of patrons unaware of the real threat that was actually posed by it.
Opened in 1978, it attracted huge crowds with its unusual rides, but safety was never a priority. The Grave Pool, one of its most notorious attractions, became a symbol of the chaos. Poorly designed, it caused countless accidents and injuries. The staff, often too young or untrained, struggled to manage the risks. Many visitors and even employees were under the influence, adding to the dangers. Nicknames like Accident Park and Traction Park reflected the park's dark history. Tragically, at least 6 deaths occurred due to its dangerous rides and reckless environment. The Grave Pool was just one of many rides that made Action Park infamous for all the wrong reasons. The L2. Standing on a trapdoor at the top of the L2 is enough to make anyone nervous. This water slide is over 400 feet high and features 2 full loops, making it one of the most intense slides in the world. Once the trapdoor opens, riders drop straight down into the tube, speeding through twists and turns. The double loops add an extra layer of thrill as the slide's design pushes riders to their limits. For a brief moment, you can catch a glimpse of the Alps, but most are too focused on the heart-racing drop to notice. The ride is fast, steep, and not for the faint-hearted. Wedgies and adrenaline are almost guaranteed as you tumble through this wild and unforgettable experience. The most amazing part of the video is just ahead, the Vertigo. At Aqualandia in Spain, the Vertigo towers as one of Europe's tallest and fastest water slides. With heights reaching 28 and 34 meters, this slide is all about the thrill. Riders step onto a trapdoor platform, waiting for the floor to vanish beneath them. In a blink, they're free, falling through a steep tube, hitting speeds of up to 100 kilometers an hour. That's around 60 miles per hour, making it the fastest water slide in Europe. The ride lasts only a few seconds, but those seconds are packed with adrenaline and sheer speed. The steep drop combined with the insane velocity leaves little room to process the experience. The Sahara Sidewinders. Located at the Kalahari Resort in Wisconsin Dells, the Sahara Sidewinders delivers a scary experience.
Even begin to imagine what was going through the minds of these folks at Kalahari Indoor Resort yesterday. An air duct came crashing down into the pool. 5 people were hurt.
Riders start by stepping into a launch pod, waiting anxiously as the trapdoor beneath them suddenly opens. In an instant, they're sent hurtling straight down into a near-vertical tube, gaining incredible speed. The slide twists and turns through sharp loops that add to the intense ride, making it feel like a wild, watery roller coaster. Every corner and drop keeps riders gripping tight as their adrenaline surges with every twist. After all the loops and spins, the final steep plunge ends in a splashdown into the pool. And it was anticipated to be a smooth and glamorous journey. The departure was marked by a festive atmosphere, with passengers and crew excited for the adventure ahead. The Titanic was described as a floating palace, and its passengers were thrilled to be part of such a historic event. The ship's grand interiors and luxurious accommodations were the talk of the town, and everyone was eager to experience the Titanic's splendor. As the Titanic sailed across the Atlantic, it became clear that the ship was everything that had been promised and more. Passengers enjoyed lavish meals, elegant entertainment, and unparalleled comfort. The ship was a marvel of modern technology and luxury, living up to its reputation as the most incredible ship ever built. But what if I told you that even as the Titanic sailed smoothly through the ocean, the maiden voyage was marked by both grandeur and foreboding? The luxury and sophistication were on full display, but there were also hints of trouble that would soon come to the surface. The Titanic was destined to become one of the most famous ships in history, but not for the reasons its creators had hoped. As the ship continued its journey, the excitement and joy of the passengers would soon be overshadowed by the unfolding tragedy. The Titanic was about to face its greatest challenge, and the world would quickly learn that even the most outstanding engineering marvels could be brought to their knees by the forces of nature. But definitely, the Titanic wasn't meant to sink, though its journey was not without its challenges and ominous warnings. From a near collision with another vessel to disturbing incidents like a coal fire discovered before departure, the Titanic's voyage was marked by incidents that cast a shadow over its seemingly perfect launch. But these warnings were said to have been ignored, leading to the Titanic's tragedy. However, why were these close calls taken lightly? Were the lives of the people on board deliberately endangered? Early warnings and the SS New York incident. As the Titanic prepared for its maiden voyage, only some things went smoothly. One of the first signs of trouble occurred just days before the Titanic was set to depart. The Titanic was docked in Southampton, England, preparing for its historic voyage to New York City. During this time, a dramatic incident happened involving another ship, the SS New York. As the Titanic was about to set sail on the day of the launch, the SS New York, also docked in Southampton, broke free from its moorings. The ship drifted towards the Titanic, which was only a short distance away. A collision seemed unavoidable, and the sight of the SS New York moving dangerously close to the Titanic caused panic among the dock workers and crew. In a tense moment, tugboats raced to the scene and managed to pull the SS New York back to safety. Fortunately, the ships avoided a collision, but this near miss was a troubling start to the journey. It raised concerns about the safety procedures and whether they adequately handled unexpected situations. But could this have been a warning of the tragedy that would later happen? Some wondered if the Titanic should have heeded this sign and stayed safely at the dock. It was a question that lingered in the minds of many, even after the Titanic's fateful journey ended. What's more, as if the near miss wasn't enough, another problem worried the ship's crew and officers. Before the Titanic left port, a coal fire was discovered in one of the ship's coal bunkers. Coal fires were not uncommon in ships of that era, but they were dangerous as they could weaken the ship's structure and pose a severe risk. The fire was found in the Titanic's coal bunker, crucial for the ship's engines and overall operation. But this was another warning sign, a warning of the tragedy that would soon happen. The crew worked tirelessly to contain the fire and prevent it from spreading. But despite their efforts, a coal fire raised concerns about the ship's safety. The issue was not widely publicized, but it was another sign that things were not perfect with the Titanic. The fire could have severely impacted the ship's performance and stability during its voyage. However, despite the fire's destructive force, its significance was often overlooked in the aftermath of the Titanic's sinking. Many focused instead on the iceberg collision as the sole cause of the disaster, ignoring the pre-existing dangers that had lurked beneath the surface. But as time passed and more evidence came to light, the importance of the pre-voyage fire became undeniable. It was a silent threat, unseen and unnoticed by most, but its impact would be felt far and wide. The fire weakened the ship's body, making it more susceptible to damage from external forces. So when the Titanic struck the iceberg, its weakened structure could not withstand the impact, hastening its collapse into the icy depths below. But what if I told you there were other issues surrounding the Titanic's preparation? And it's not only the near miss with SS New York or the coal fire incident. Something happened during the construction that many believe were also signs of impending danger. You may not have heard, but there were several accidents and fatalities at the Harland and Wolff shipyard in Belfast. Workers were injured, and some killed in accidents during the construction of this magnificent ship. Some saw these fatalities as omens, suggesting that the Titanic was cursed or something was wrong with the ship's design and construction While accidents are unfortunately common in large-scale construction projects, the high number of fatalities surrounding the Titanic contributed to a growing sense of unease. The Titanic's departure was marked by a sense of both optimism and foreboding. Passengers were excited to experience the ship's luxury and comfort. Still, there were whispers about the coal fire, the near miss with the SS New York, and the construction fatalities. These incidents created an uneasy atmosphere, suggesting that the Titanic's voyage might not be as smooth as everyone hoped. Looking back, it's clear that these early warnings and close calls may have impacted the Titanic's fate. While each issue might have seemed minor on its own, they created a sense of unease and suggested that something might be wrong. The near miss with the SS New York raised questions about the ship's safety procedures and the effectiveness of the crew's response to emergencies. The coal fire, while contained, highlighted potential weaknesses in the ship's design and maintenance. The fatalities during construction and the coal shortage increased the sense of foreboding, suggesting that the Titanic's journey might be fraught with problems. These issues, while not immediately catastrophic, contributed to a growing sense of unease and may have played a role in the ship's eventual fate. But why did the Titanic's leaders choose to proceed with the voyage, knowing the risks ahead? Was it a lapse in judgment or a reckless disregard for safety? The truth, they say, may never be fully known. Still, one thing is clear. The journey was plagued by unfortunate events, each contributing to its ultimate destruction. But now that we've said this, what exactly is this collision that sealed the ship's fate and forever changed the course of history? The Titanic and the iceberg. The collision was no longer just a possibility, it was inevitable. In the days leading up to April 14, 1912, the Titanic crew received several warnings about ice in the area ahead. These messages were sent from other ships already navigating the North Atlantic, which had spotted large icebergs and fields of ice. The warnings came from ships like the SS Californian, the Baltic, and the Mesaba, alerting the Titanic to the dangerous conditions. But despite these warnings, many of the messages were not treated with the seriousness they deserved. Some warnings were never delivered to the captain or senior officers. Instead, they were set aside or filed away. The wireless operators on the Titanic were busy handling a high volume of messages from passengers, eager to send personal messages to loved ones back home. The warnings about ice seemed like just another set of routine messages, easy to overlook. So the ship continued at full speed, nearly 22 knots, which was very fast for such a large vessel in dangerous waters. Some say there was pressure to arrive in New York ahead of schedule, to impress the world and make headlines. Others believe the crew felt that the ship, branded as unsinkable, could handle any obstacle in its path. Whatever the reason, the warnings were largely ignored, and the Titanic pressed on, moving further into the icy waters. And then the D-Day came. But in the crow's nest, the lookout, Frederick Fleet, and his fellow crewman, Reginald Lee, watched for any signs of danger, but they didn't see any at the time. Then, shortly before midnight, the temperature dropped suddenly, a clear sign that the ship was entering icy waters. The cold became intense, and some passengers, still awake, began to notice the chill. The lookout men, feeling the cold biting at their faces, were alert, knowing that ice could be nearby. But without binoculars, they relied solely on their eyesight to spot any icebergs. At 11:40 p.m., Fleet saw something looming ahead, a dark shape, darker than the night sky itself. He quickly realized it was an iceberg, a massive wall of ice. Fleet rang the warning bell 3 times, calling for help, and the officers on the bridge immediately sprang into action. The first officer, William Murdoch, ordered a hard turn to port and called for the engines to be reversed. But it was too late. Before anyone could say jack, the Titanic struck the iceberg on its starboard. The impact was not head-on, which might have been less catastrophic. Still, the iceberg scraped along the side of the ship, causing a series of small gashes in the hull below the waterline. These openings allowed seawater to flood into the ship's compartments. However, the collision was so gentle that many passengers didn't notice it. Some felt a slight bump or a shudder, while others didn't feel anything at all. Those who were awake wondered if something minor had happened, But down in the lower decks, in the mailroom and the boiler rooms, the crew quickly realized the seriousness of the situation. Water was pouring in at an alarming rate. As the Titanic took on water, it became clear how dangerous it had been to ignore the ice warnings. The ship's design, while advanced, was not prepared to handle the multiple breaches caused by the iceberg. The compartments meant to be watertight began filling with water, and the water's weight caused the ship's bow to dip deeper into the ocean. Captain Edward Smith and his officers quickly understood the gravity of the situation. The ship was designed to stay afloat with up to 4 compartments flooded, but the iceberg had damaged at least 5. The ship was sinking, and there were not enough lifeboats for everyone on board. The crew began to send distress signals, hoping nearby ships would aid them. Panic began to spread among the passengers and crew minutes after the collision. The Titanic was taking on more water, and the lifeboats were being prepared for launch. The reality of the situation set in. There were not enough lifeboats to save everyone on board. The crew tried to keep order as they loaded women and children first into the lifeboats.
I shall require women and children only. So gentlemen, please stay exactly where you are.
Some lifeboats were launched only half full, as people hesitated to leave the unsinkable ship. Many believed the Titanic was safer than the small lifeboats bobbing in the freezing water. But as the bow dipped further, the truth became impossible to deny. The unsinkable Titanic was sinking. At exactly 2:20 a.m., the Titanic broke apart. It disappeared beneath the surface, sinking to the ocean floor 2 miles below. The once grand ship was gone, leaving behind a sea of debris and hundreds of people struggling in the frigid water. Eventually, the iceberg that struck the Titanic became one of the most infamous icebergs in history. It was an ordinary piece of ice floating in the North Atlantic, yet it was pivotal in a disaster that shocked the world. The warnings about ice had been clear, yet they were not fully heeded. But recently, there have been rumors about the rediscovery of the Titanic. Is this even possible? For over 70 years, the Titanic was lost deep in the Atlantic Ocean, hidden from the world. But in 1985, an American oceanographer, Robert Ballard, set out with a French team to find it. They used a new robot, Argo, with cameras and sonar to search the ocean floor. Instead of looking for the whole ship, they searched for pieces of debris scattered when the Titanic sank. After weeks of searching, on September 1st, 1985, they spotted a large boiler from the Titanic on their screens, confirming they had found the wreck. As they explored further, they saw more parts of the ship, including the deck chairs, dishes, and finally bow, still standing tall after all these years. Finding the Titanic was only the start. Ballard and his team used underwater robots to explore the wreck, taking thousands of pictures and videos. These images helped them create a complete site map, revealing new details about how the ship broke apart and sank. They discovered that the Titanic had split into 2 main pieces. The bow was still mostly intact, while the stern, where the engines were, was severely damaged. These findings offered new clues about the disaster and how it happened. This discovery, however, sparked worldwide interest. People were fascinated to see images of the ship resting on the ocean floor. But it also stirred debate, as some wanted the wreck left untouched, while others saw it as a chance to learn from history. But that's not the end of the search. Now, years later, the search had continued, and divers searching the wreck of the Titanic discovered something remarkable: an old, vintage camera lying amid the debris on the ocean floor. The camera was rusted and damaged, but its film was somehow preserved. When the film was carefully developed, it revealed photos taken during the Titanic's voyage. One of these photos showed what appeared to be a giant iceberg floating in the dark waters of the North Atlantic. The image was blurry and aged, but it showed a distinct shape, an iceberg with a unique jagged top and a deep scar at its base. Some experts believe this photograph could be the iceberg the Titanic struck on that fateful night. The photograph of the iceberg, found on the old camera, reminds us of that fateful night. It captures a moment, a frozen image of the force that brought down a ship once thought to be unsinkable. The iceberg itself melted away long ago, but its legacy lives on in the stories, the movies, and the memories of the Titanic's tragic end. We've come to the end of this intriguing revelation. What do you think about this discovery? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click on the following video on your screen. You will enjoy it.